and welcome to another One Chapter at a Time. In today's video, I'll be unboxing and reviewing a couple of Alibaba specials I picked up for my upcoming project video, which I haven't revealed yet. I really must come up with a catchy name for my project video. Anywho, in the eternity it took me to make the last video, these bad boys arrived in the mail. And before I ruin them, I wanted to show you around. So let's dive right into the murky world of budget fashion watches. First up is the Geneva. That's all, just the Geneva. Now before I crack on, I want you to know how much I paid for this watch. This will help to put the rest of the review into context. I paid the grand total of $3.99. Yes, $3.99, including shipping from China to Australia. I'm not often speechless. It's so cheap they couldn't even be bothered to give it a make and a model. It's just the Geneva. Our Geneva arrived in this small padded bag with a small layer of foam wrapped around the case. Like our scummy 1264 watch, this is clearly enough packaging for this watch. It arrived in perfect condition. There is no fanfare here, just a cheap watch in the mail. I don't actually know why they have called this watch the Geneva. I'm 100% certain this watch has never been to Switzerland. I don't think there are any Swiss-made parts in here, and at first blush it doesn't seem to shout Swiss quality. But at $3.99, what do you expect? Removing the Geneva from the plastic bag, I have two initial impressions. The first is how light it is. We will open it up in a sec to see what's going on inside, if anything at all. The second thing that strikes me is this strap. Dear God. It is a black metal mesh affair, which I normally like. This one rattles on the case owing to the undersized spring bars. But that's not the most annoying thing. The most annoying thing about this strap is that it is twisted. The weave of the mesh has twisted the strap so that it will never sit flat. The edges are sharp and unfinished, and the buckle and tine are thin and feel cheap too. Just saying, $3.99. Moving on. The Geneva is a larger sized black cased watch. It has a quartz movement and a simple three-hand analog display. The hands are a basic Dauphine style, in black with quite a nice sky blue painted tip on all three hands. The dial is a plain flat black affair, where the hour markers are a recessed line in the dial. This is actually a nice touch. Difficult to see unless you catch it in the right light, but nice nonetheless. In these hour marker recesses is a small amount of the same blue paint. And lastly, sitting between the 10 and the 2 is the name Geneva. As I mentioned at the start, I bought this watch to be part of my upcoming project video. It was the simplicity of the design and the price that made me want to see how this thing performs under pressure. The advert for this watch promotes family, friends and loved ones. They say this watch is suitable as a gift for all. Above all, best gift for yourself, nice to yourself, enjoy life. Don't mind if I do. They also say the best dress with popular elements and improve the individual's clothing taste. Anything I can do to improve the taste of clothing. I was secretly hoping this watch would have a bit of a domed crystal, but sadly no. The watch case is perfectly round and is a polished gunmetal super dark grey. A lot of the edges feel unfinished, sort of polished but not really finished. It's not quite black as I first thought. The strap is black, the case is lighter. Being slightly different shades just messes with my sensibilities. The lugs sweep down from the case. This is nice, but it doesn't help to sit the watch on my wrist. It does sit flat on my wrist, but sticks out a bit on me. But that Mobius strip of a strap just sits all wrong. The back of the case is a round, press-fit steel disc. It's beveled for 2mm from the edge. It's not polished, but it is reflective. I do note there is no gasket at all on the press-fit case back. This stands to reason on account of its price. The crown is a small round piece. It's lightly machined for grip. It's very dainty, but it does the trick. I can easily adjust the time. The crystal is a simple, flat plastic press fit. This watch is in no way waterproof. This should be interesting. Opening the back of the Geneva, we reveal a tiny quartz movement, the 897S. All this open space allows for lots of room for activities. It also accounts for the sound this watch makes when you tap it. It rings like a drum. Okay, Wiz Khalifa's here tells me it is a 41mm case without the crown. 41mm is a little too big for my wrist, so it makes sense the watch is sitting a little flat on me. With the crown, it is a whisker under 44mm. The watch is only 8mm thick, so as an everyday wearer, it could slip under the cuff of a shirt very nicely. The lug width on this is a kooky 21mm, but that's okay, because they've fitted a 20mm strap. And lastly, from lug tip to lug tip is 49.8mm. And the all-important, what's it like to wear? Well, at $3.99, does it really matter? I actually think every watch dork should get one of these watches at some point in their life. The Geneva has shown me what a watch can be if you cut corners at every single turn. By wearing this watch, I can now appreciate all the millions of tiny refinements other watch brands put into their watches to make them more comfortable and refined. Literally everything on this watch is compromised. The strap is difficult to adjust, the buckle digs in, the lugs dig in. It's not weather resistant in any way, so much so that I'd hesitate to wear it on a humid day. Everything about it is just a bit Up against the Geneva today is the Kurju. This is just random Scrabble letters now. This also came from AliExpress, but this one is listed as a luxury top brand stainless steel watch. As such, I paid the premium of $18.03, including shipping. Yes, this is another quartz watch, and I know you're not interested in quartz watches, but I have chosen all of these for a reason. This one is a bit more fancy in that it has a chronograph complication. The Scrabble arrived in a plastic bag, once again wrapped in foam. This one, however, came equipped with a tiny flathead screwdriver for reasons that I can't work out. The Scrabble is another round black cased watch with 2 pushes and the crown on the right. This watch, by comparison, does feel more solid. The dial is flat black with white text. There is an outer minute register counting up in 5s, then there is an hour register. The 2 small sub-dials are minute and second counters for the chrono function. The 12 o'clock sub-dial is an unusual 2-second register. It does 1 full rotation in 2 seconds. The sub-dial at 6 o'clock is a 1-minute register, counting seconds up to 60. The text on the dial is crisp, and at the 12 o'clock hour marker there are 2 dots reminiscent of the Omega Speedmaster Professional. It has a 3-hand time display with a small date window at the 3 o'clock. The date window is nicely executed actually. The date numeral is only slightly larger than the hour numbers, and it is positioned in line with the hour track. It is a white date disc, so it has a high contrast and is easy to see. To balance the date window, the Scrabble letters of a name are printed towards the 9 o'clock. The hands on this beauty are black batten hands for the hour and minute, with a white painted strip along the length. And no, it's not luminescent in any way. The second hand and the two sub-dials are a painted glossy midnight blue. The dark blue on black does make them difficult to read for a device with a timing complication. The crown on the right is a very simple squared off piece. It has the usual machined ridges for grip. This is not a tool watch in any meaningful way, so the crown feels functional at 4.9mm. It is slightly chamfered so there are no sharp edges. The chamfer on the crown actually matches the chamfer on the case if you look at it in profile. The pushers for the chronograph are positioned at 2 o'clock and 4 o'clock. These are the mushroom style and measure in at 4.5mm. There's nothing really remarkable to say here. They do what they say on the tin. The flat glass, yes glass, crystal on our Scrabble is round and measures in at just over 38mm. There is a lot of real estate here for viewing the hands and dial. I don't think this is the exact measurement of the crystal, as Wiz was having a difficult time and I didn't want to pop the crystal to measure it just yet. Being a flat crystal, there are no optical distortions on the edge of the dial. Flipping the watch over, we can see there is a press-fit stainless steel back. It says it is allegedly water resistant. To what? I don't know. There is the model number 2278, and then finally made in China. This case back does have a rubber gasket. We can see the movement of this watch fills the case. This movement is the Sunon PE90 chronograph movement with no jewels. Looking over this movement, I can see it happily runs on the LR290 cell, but what I also notice here is how the whole movement is riveted together. This movement was never meant to be pulled apart in anger or education. The case on the Scrabble is my favourite part. The case of this watch is deeply curved from front to back. For example, the case is 42.1mm across the top without the crown, and 45mm with the crown. So this is a big watch. However, the party piece is from lug tip to lug tip is 42.9mm. Even with the lugs, it is almost perfectly round. But as you work towards the back of the case, it is barrel shaped, and the rear of the case is only 33mm. Because of this, the lugs really tuck under the edges of the case, and this has a profound effect on the way the watch wears. I feel I can wear this watch quite happily, which is unusual for me with a watch this size. The thickness of this watch is 10mm, so that will fit very nicely. It is fitted with another 20mm mesh strap, this time in black. The same style as the scummy 1264. This version of the mesh strap is still cheap, but it does fit nicely, and the locking clasp works well, so there are no real complaints. And how does this wear on the wrist? Having a watch of 42+mm is too big for me all week long. However, having the lugs swept under the edge of the case makes a profound effect on its wearability. I really feel like I can get away with wearing a watch this big. Would I wear it every day? Probably not, but I feel like I can. Looking at the Kurju website, they appear to make many watches that are all variations on a theme. So if you are in the market for a cheap watch, there is something for almost everyone. These two watches are vastly different in their price, design, complexity, and fit and finish. The Geneva is compromised in just about every single way, and this makes it unique and exciting for all the wrong reasons. Whereas the Scrabble is trying for the lofty heights of cut price greatness, and I think so long as you keep your expectations low, it almost achieves it. However, they will both be sacrificed at the altar of the horological gods, all in the name of curiosity, science, and amusement. I have one more video showcasing the last two watches I will be using for this project series, and then it's on with the show. Until then, please like this video and don't forget to hit that bell for future notifications. Also, don't forget to subscribe. Thanks for watching. I'll start again. I'll give it a little bit of space. How about that? I'll try 44 more times. I'll just do another 6,000 takes, shall I? Nice. What a goose. Did that work? I don't know.